Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I will talk about a less iconic muscle car from the golden era of muscle cars. This unfortunate car is the first gen Plymouth Barracuda, a car which was meant to compete with the Ford Mustang on the pony car scene, but did it really compete with it? Well, we will find out. Basically, the Barracuda was a design brother of the Dodge Charger, but it was released 22 months earlier. There are some distinct similarities between the two cars, but luckily for all the Charger lovers, not too much. The first gen Barracuda, just as other cars from this muscle car era, were based on a regular model. This was the Plymouth Valiant, but with the Barracuda, Chrysler went a bit further than, let's say, Ford with the Mustang. The car was so heavily based on the Valiant that in its first model year, in 1964, it was sold as a Plymouth Valiant. The Barracuda badge only came up in 1965, and I should also mention that the name Barracuda was given to the car by John something, name on the screen, who was a designer at Chrysler. We can say that the Plymouth Barracuda was the poor man's Ford Mustang, at least when we talk about the looks and the performance of the vehicle. In my opinion, the Barracuda is not a pretty car. It has one good-looking design element, in my opinion, the wrap-around glass back, but the rest of the car is meh. Also, the options and the engines available for this car were not that great. Basically, you had two engines, a 6-cylinder and a V8 producing 235 horsepower. 90% of Barracuda buyers chose this V8. It's obvious why. But the car had some ups when compared to the Mustang. First of all, it was heavier, which is never a good thing if you're competing with a nimble car which has a much stronger engine. So the Barracuda lost out on the sportiness front, and it was also around 10% more expensive than a Mustang. We are talking about the same trim levels and V8 engines. So basically, for more money, you got less. You got less horsepower, less options, but a heavier car, which wasn't as nimble. And this was reflected in the sales numbers. The Mustang heavily outsold the Barracuda. It outsold it 17 to 1. Funnily, there were sold more Mustangs on the first day of Mustang sales than there were sold Barracudas in 1964. But luckily for us, Chrysler did not kill the model, and the second and third gen Barracudas became a much more iconic car, at least in my opinion. But the first gen car needs to be mentioned, and please let me know if you like it or not.